Howdy y'all, TheJTJ here, and we got a good one today. If you haven't heard, there's a new edition of AOS on the way. Vampires are getting released, and I might have found a hidden link to that mysterious video at the end of the Warhammer Fest release news. So stick around, and we're going to talk about it all here on Roll to Wound. Alright guys, so big news came out yesterday, and we are getting a new edition, and I was actually a little surprised. I know some people weren't. I thought that this was going to get pushed off a little bit further, but I guess not. I thought that the vampire news and the things that was coming out with that was that was sort of the big news from the fest. Well, that's I was wrong. We did answer one question though, because one of the questions that I had was, would vampire accounts be the last book of this edition or the first book of next edition? Well, it's looking like it's going to be the last book of second edition. So we'll see how that plays out in the long run. But let's dig right in to the Warhammer Fest news. So day 6, Saturday, big news. Third edition's coming, and it's going to be here sooner than later. They said they're going to continue teasing all throughout this month, different things. I'm interested to see the rules. But we'll get into that in a little bit. If you hadn't had a chance, you can check out in the description. I'll have a link to the website that'll have this write up, and I'll have all the links to all this news and different things. Um, so check that link out to rolltowound.com, and you can get all the links to everything else. All right, so there's a couple videos here. I'm not really going to go over these. Once you hit the link, you can watch them and at your leisure. The big announcement was about 50-minute live stream. Um, so we're not going to play the video, but the first thing we'll get to is this is the cover art for the new edition, and I'm gonna mess up this name. Andrasta um, is the new poster child for poster girl, poster woman, poster person for Age of Sigmar, specifically Stormcast, and this will be the book cover right here for the new rule book, and you can see that she's sort of flying down with her angelic wings, with her mighty spear, and got to be battling some chaos. That's pretty much, it looks maybe Nurglish, Zinchus, possibly. Um, but she is the new poster child. Um, yeah, this other piece of release news, because some of this art right here, and they didn't really go into detail. They sort of said they don't know what this is. This looks like some kind of forming of a new city, one of those points they talk about, and it looks like it's sort of. And I'm just totally guessing here. This is destroying the chaos monuments, destroying the chaos area. Maybe this is a beacon of hope or light in the blasted lands. I don't know. Oh, we do get the map of Garan, and this is pretty nice. You can zoom way in here, and on the video it shows it a little bit bigger, and you can pause the video and just look it over. But man, that is one of my favorite things. I've always been a sucker for maps, and so to have these nice maps to sort of look around on and everything, it makes it interesting. So let's go ahead and get down to the model. So this is our new model. Let's zoom it in just a touch. And you can see it's this sort of the new Stormcast aesthetic. They had already said that the spear is going to be her ranged weapon, and it's supposed to be like really good. She's supposed to be a monster hunter. I can see, hopefully, just from what they're saying, maybe this model or maybe the rules for her are going to be taking down the big guys like Archeon, Teclis. Not that in the fluff she would take down Teclis, but on the tabletop, maybe that's her purpose. She can go in like a missile and take something big down, because that is something Stormcast, struggle with a little bit in the current edition. They also talked about the basing, the swamps theme. You're going to see that a lot, and I'll get into sort of that thoughts later. But the new armor set they're doing, they're more fitted. Everything's a little bit sleeker. Her wings, the comment was, are more angelic. They're less they're less of the old style Stormcast wings where they're very pointy and very non realistic, I guess I'd say. But if you go back and look at the cover art, it shows her wings being made of light also. Um, if you go back to the video too, when they're actually releasing her, there's a typo in it they comment on during that, and I thought that was a funny part because come on GW, who would have never thought that you would have a typo in any of your work? It seems to be pretty common, but I do sympathize because I have typos in pretty much all of my write-ups too. So it just made me laugh. Hey, even the professionals mess up sometimes as well. So here's some more close-ups of the back. And I'm already seeing. I'm wondering if you can get away with painting her in one piece. Probably the only thing is the inside of that cloth, her cape, would probably be in more than likely that attaches somewhere in back. So you might have to leave that off to paint. But everything else looks like you can pretty much get to it, building her up and then painting it, which is something I'm always into. I like to build my models if I can fully. That way I can at least get them on the tabletop. All right, so the next big news is, and I'll zoom out just a little bit, is we have Vindicators. So this is the new Stormcast, and has Thunderstrike armor. The fluff wise is because won't get too much into that, but basically Stormcast can't do what they have always been known for, which is return to Azure and get reforged. There's issues with that now, so this new armor is supposed to help with that. So the other thing of interesting note is they actually say that Grumney is helping develop these suits. They're helping Sigmar reforge all this stuff. So dwarves, maybe next year. Just saying. Um, yes, and they're still dwarves to me. But that would be interesting. Get a new, get a full remake just like they did the High Elves. That would be something nice. I'd be on board for that. Um, so the other thing going on is so they talked about the armor exploding, and like used to, if you read the books or any of the fluff, like when a Stormcast was killed, it was sort of like a lightning bolt was shot back up, and I always thought of that lightning bolt of doing damage, but in the tabletop that never really was the case. But now they're saying that this is a full-on explosion, like a big explosion when they die. So I guess my question is when these guys die, is that going to be mortal wounds out? Is that going to affect your friend? Is that a possibility? So I think there's some interesting rules that can come from that. Fluff wise, they're talking about how dangerous it is in the mortal realms right now. They're moving out to retake lands, and this is sort of going to be the spear tip of that because old Stormcast, other Stormcast, well, when they die, there's no guarantee they get reforged. These guys have a higher percentage chance of doing that. So I think that's interesting, but I also, and partly think that it's kind of sad too, because it's like, man, that was one thing cool about a Stormcast, while they were sort of fearless. They knew that they would just be come back and back. I'd like to see this model in comparison with regular Stormcast, like the current range, because it seems like it would be taller, um, but it's not as wide. So I'm wondering, are these models taller? Have they upped sort of the scale of the Stormcast? Have they made them a little taller, or is it the same height and they just slimmed down because this armor is more form fitting? The very first thing when I saw this was Primaris Marines, and I know that there's a lot of people out there worried about, hey, is this going to be Primaris Marines, or are they going to take away, like are they going to start phasing out the old Stormcast range? I would be very surprised and skeptical if that was the case, but I would be very upset if it was the case. I don't think they are, but that would be not cool. So they're going to show you some of the different poses with some of the different colors, and there's the Anvils of Heldenhammer, who I currently paint. Looks awesome. I do like some of the poses. All right, so now we will get down here to this model, which is um, the Annihilator. This is the new model with a meteoric hammer. My first thought when I saw this was Terminators. They're making Terminators now for Age of Sigmar. It's a 2+ save. It has impact hits when it comes in, and it will be part of a unit. I imagine if these things were less than 3 wounds each, I would be surprised. Maybe I could see even 5 or 6 wounds, depending. Um, but a hard hitting unit. Not I'm not saying I dislike this right now, but I would love to see some more poses and see if they're all standing sort of with the shield there. I guess the shield on this one is down because you get to see a lot more of the model because the shield is huge and it would cover up a large portion of the model. So maybe it's a good sneak peek at it and you get a good feel for it. But it's a very static pose, so we'll see. It'll be interesting if their cost is worth it in as far as we get into the game. All right, so here's the video, and I highly suggest just stopping my video and going and watching this real quick so you know what's happening here with this. But I do have a little bit. I have a after watching the video, just something, and they're talking about their own and their swamps, and the one thing that came to mind is I just finished reading um, Dark Harvest, probably like a month or two ago. Um, so there it is in the Black Library. You can go check it out. I have tried, I've been in a little bit into the Warhammer sort of horror stuff lately, and it's funny. I could make a whole video on Warhammer horror. How it's weird when you read Warhammer horror in 40K or AOS because literally you're just reading about the world that we just the regular fluff stuff, and it's supposed to be scary. And I'm like, but they try to make it a little bit more scary, a little bit more, I guess, suspenseful in here. However, in this Dark Harvest, this does take place sort of outside or in an area close to gray water fastness, um, and they do talk. And I'm not going to spoil anything about the book if you haven't read it yet, but there is a lot of things similar going on in Dark Harvest to what you see in this video and sort of the other leaks that they've talked about. Um, Once again, you see, are those eyes, or are they these little will o' the wisps? Even on the cover right here, it's the same. So I'm saying, if you haven't checked this book out, go check it out. It's an okay read. I mean, like if you're a Warhammer, if you're an AOS fan, is it the best thing ever? It's cool. I mean, I liked it. I read it. It wasn't a hard read. It wasn't something where I was like, "Oh, this is the greatest book ever." I do like the main character. He's sort of gruff and tough, and just sort of doesn't care. I will I will say on the website I do have some links to some reviews here that other people have written, and I say go give it a check because I am thinking that this might tie in pretty close to what's happening. And okay, let me lay this on, and I'll spoil a little bit, but Sylvaneth, evil Sylvaneth, maybe what's coming, maybe what these videos are about. I don't know. So once again, please tell me in the comments if you've read this book. Tell me if you like it or not. Um, Tell me what you thought about it. If you have read it, do you think these are matching up? If you haven't, what is your opinion? What do you think is going to what this the little video, the teaser video is about? So let us know. All right, finally, I was blindsided by this today too because I guess I'm just not in the know, but I was expecting this to sort of pre-order in a week or two, but I guess they want to kick it off right at the beginning of summer. And so vampires are coming. They're coming pre-order. They're going on pre-order next week. So they're here. I thought it would be a little bit more. That I know there's a lot of people, we were hoping for other previews, um, but previewing's done. The book's coming. I have the other video that I talked at length about this, so you can check that out if you're interested. Um, they've sort of announced, or you sort of see, this is what they're showing for pre-release. I was hoping to get the White King um, day one. I don't know if this will be everything. I sort of have to wait until later in the week. But you got your skeletons, you got your zombies, you got your Fellbat, your Blood Knights. Also, this model, which actually in the last video, we had seen this model before, but I didn't really go and talk about it. But this model will be released. And one thing that I did notice, I just totally overlooked it until today, was, all right, check this model out. And check the cover. So it's the same vampire. So your cover vampire is actually that vampire model. The difference is this vampire sort of has either ghostly hair, white hair, gray hair, whatever you want to call it. And you come down here and this vampire has these crazy hair. So maybe I do get this model, paint the hair white, clip off these bats on the end, and just have it flowing like that. Maybe cut it off about halfway to make a better representation of the vampire on the cover. But I've looked back and forth 3 or 4 times. Tell me if I'm wrong. I think this is the same vampire. All right, there's all the armor, all the weapons, everything matches up. So let me know what you think about that. Oh, and they are releasing the big baddie on day one. We can see that. Um, Mother of Nightmares here. Last video, this was a hot button topic for all of last week, guys. There is haters, lovers, and haters of this model. Um, so tell me what you think about that. Are you buying her day one? I'll be honest, I'm not. I'm not going to pre-order her. Hopefully, I'm going to get the rule book and see that, hey, she's really good. I need to get this model, and it's sold out. You can't get it, but I'll take that chance because really, I just want to see the rules first, digest them, and make a decision on whether I want to paint and build this. Eventually, I will either build her or the Vampire Lord, but don't know if I want to jump on that soon. We're going to get dice and your normal card pack. The last couple of armies that I bought, I have not bought the War Scroll cards. I love them. I think that they're nice to have, but 9 times out of 10, I just don't ever use them, and they end up getting a new edition before ever get any worth. However, something of note here, Manfred's on the cover there. Not that I was expecting Manfred not to be in this book, but with that picture, it sort of leads me to believe that Manfred's going to be in the book. So, like I said, not that I was thinking that he wasn't, but there you go. You also get an Adeptus Titanicus. I would love to make a whole video on why I don't play Adeptus Titanicus and how my soul and dreams were crushed when it was released. But for those of you that do, here's an awesome game. New model for that. Black Library, the next book in the Gotrek series. Um, haven't really read any of his books, so tell me if that series, the newer stuff, is any good. Let me know. So I was really excited for both of these books. The last couple releases, I haven't been able to get the Black Library stuff. They've sold out day one. Like, I like hard copies, obviously. Death Ascendant is an omnibus, and it takes, from what I understand, it looks like it's from the old world. So if you just want to see vampire stories, to me, I'm like, I want some of the newer stuff. So the Dynasty of Monsters is the one you're going to get if you just want the Age of Sigmar stuff. So we're going to try to get that, and hopefully by reading that, I'll get a better understanding of Mother of Nightmares and why she exists and what she is and all that. And finally, your White Dwarf with everybody's favorite hero of the Imperium, Cypher. And we get brushes too. So I don't think I've ever purchased a Citadel brush. Not saying you shouldn't. They look like they're really quality. But until they come down to about Army Painter price, I'm kind of going, I'll just buy Army Painter stuff. But there you have it, guys. That's what we know so far. So please, in the comments, let me know what you think about any of these models. What do you think about, the upcoming releases? Um, are you excited? Are you kind of bummed out that, like, hey, I was just getting into second? Like, are you a new player and there's going to be a whole new edition? Oh, speaking of the new edition, let's just talk about the rules real quick. Rules wise, they've already commented that the double turn's staying. So a lot of conjecture. There's a lot of hatred out there for the double turn. There's a lot of people that like it. A lot of people like me. They go, I can live with or without it. I think it adds a little bit of element to the game. But they have said they're going to try to make it where it's not an auto. I'm going to take the first turn every round. That's my biggest point, and I've said that for years. That guys, if you're going to keep the double turn in, make it an actual choice because 95% of the time you're taking that double turn. You're not going to give it to your opponents. You're going to seize that initiative and try to do your work there. So they're saying they're going to use something with command points. Maybe if you go second, you get more command points. Hopefully, command points are reworked so they're more useful for armies. There's some armies that absolutely has to have them to function. There's other armies that says, I don't even care. They also talked about the core battalions. So they're going to do some battalion changes, which is interesting. You know, battalion drops. I like low drop battalion. It's either with me. It's like I run battalions and try to do one or two battalions to do a one or two drop. Or if you're not doing that, then what are you going to be? Five, six, seven drop. There's Skaven don't even really have a battalion that you would want to take to a competitive setting. So hopefully, whatever they do with the battalions, they make it more of a choice for every army, where you can actually go, oh, I would like to take a battalion. There's actually a viable option for me to take here that does something good and it's priced right. Because I find that too in a lot of the older books that battalions are way overcosted for what they do. That's just an opinion. They talked about removing the ambiguity from the rules as well. I will. I'm not going to say I'll believe it when I see it, because I think you can clean some stuff up, but there's still going to be arguments. Um, there's still going to be arguments. So we're never going to get rid of that in tabletop gaming. I think that you're going to read a rule set one way, and somebody else is going to read something slightly different and have a whole different mindset of the way it should be. But I'm glad that they're looking at that and trying to make the game cleaner. So thumbs up for that. And they keep saying this is going to be the best edition so far. I mean, you would hope. They've had years to refine it, so I would hate for them to take a step back. However, it does happen, so they can tell us all that they want that this is going to be the best edition. But we've seen it in the past where, what was it, War Machine? Was it 3.0 or 4? I don't even know what War Machine's on now. That was just trash and basically killed the game. I know that happened too with a little bit of bolt action when they did a new edition. A lot of people in our local community quit playing it because they didn't like the new edition. Um, and you see it in 40K in and out, with like 7th and 8th edition. Some people loved it. Some people, 6th edition was probably the one where everybody pointed to. Um, so if this is, like they're saying, the best edition, I honestly hope so. Oh, new box set. I know there's a lot of arguments on what is the box set going to be. Are we getting our third Stormcast versus something box set? Don't know. Is it going to be Stormcast? So let's put this. If you're a betting person, I put the odds that it's going to be a Stormcast and something. Okay, that would be to me the smart play if I was betting. But if it is, what are they going to fight? Is it going to be against Soulblight? Is it going to be against Chaos? Because it seems, is it going to be against Destruction? Or is it going to be against this new faction that we haven't quite seen yet? So there's some options out there, and I will be interested to see what happens. And it could be Soulblight versus this new faction, but the way they're building up to it, it seems like it's going to be Order versus Chaos or Order versus Destruction. We'll see. And May has 2 more previews coming, so we'll keep you posted on that. And finally, the one thing I kept thinking about when they're talking about this is bog trogs. So if you know any of the War Machine or Warhammer Hordes fluff, you got bog trogs. and different things. And I keep thinking, well, maybe this new faction is going to be an aquatic faction, or maybe it's going to be a reptilian faction. That's what some of the stuff they discussed. But we'll see as we get closer. So once again, guys, I appreciate you spending some time here watching this stuff with me. Please check out Dark Harvest. Let me know your thoughts on that, because that's one of my biggest things with this video. I want some feedback from other people to tell me I'm crazy, or to confirm, like, yeah, I see what you're looking at. I appreciate you watching. Once again, click the link in the description to check out the website, where you'll have the links to all these things that we've looked at today. And thanks for watching. Y'all be good.